When life happens, you cannot but thank God for your situation. My name is Miriam, and I consider myself an overcomer. I am the first child of 3 to my parents. I can't say I have any childhood friends, though I wish I had. My life has been one of moving from one town to another. Dad is a civil servant, which means that he can be transferred to another town just with the snap of fingers. Before we continue with the story, do not forget to click on the subscription button in order to get notified at every new video posted. Thank you. In 2 years, we have lived in 5 different towns, excluding the months we spent at different uncles' houses. Childhood wasn't the best experience for me. I got picked on a lot by bullies. I am an introvert, which made it easy not to have friends. Some days I sat and watched kids have fun, but I couldn't go out to them. The fear of making contact only to lose it when Dad gets a transfer restricted me from ever stepping out of my comfort zone. From home, I had just one mission: get to school, study, and then return home. Our house was fenced, so having someone to play with in the neighborhood was totally off the list. Before my younger ones came, life was very lonely. As a result, I learned to tap into my inner creative side. I made up stories in my head, using my dolls and toys as characters. I used different voice tones to distinguish my story characters. That was how I passed my time alone. At the end of the day, I had one goal for myself. It was to have a better life for me. I know my parents are doing all they could to give me the best I wanted, but I wanted better. And at the top of the list, to grow up and be my own boss. Dad had gone through so much tossing and turning, being transferred from one place to another. I wasn't planning on going through that. I made sure to ace all my exams and be the best. I knew I had a very bright future for myself. Oh, how I loved when my name was called first at the end of each term. I was my father's pride. He would carry me on his leg and call me Daddy's little girl. Everything was going on perfectly well till when I went to James's house. James is a classmate turned acquaintance I met in high school. We belonged to the same group of 5 to carry out a class project. I had never spoken to him. That period was the first time I had any contact with him. I have always been an introvert, except in discussions that involved education. So we all agreed that we'd meet at James's house. I had little restriction in my spirit, but I ignored it. That morning, I told Mom I was going for a class group project and left for James's house. I didn't know the location, so I called him and got directions. When I got there, I saw some other kids who were not part of the group. The entire atmosphere was different because I silently walked in. Inside the house, it was like a mini frat party. Boys and girls scantily dressed and roaming the entire house with plastic cups of drinks. I didn't know my way around, so I went and sat in one of the chairs at the far corner and texted James. "Where are you? Where is everybody?" Bored and feeling wary of the scene unfolding before me, I kept checking my phone screen for James's response. "Be there shortly." I stepped out to get the others. Okay. From where I sat, I could see everyone both inside and outside. All the doors were open, windows too. Light music continued to play in the background. "You are a little overdressed for the party, honey," one guy said. I hadn't noticed when he sat by me. "Sorry, I'm not here for the party." "You look a little lost and lonely. Do you need company?" "No, thanks. I am just going to wait here for James." That was his cue to leave, but he stayed put, staring at me intensely. It freaked me out. He leaned in as if to whisper something in my ear. I froze on the spot, my breath coming out in short gasps. "Back off, Frank. She's off limits," James' voice rang up on the door. Talk about being saved by a voice. However, that didn't stop Frank. He continued to lean in as I pulled away from his presence. I reached the wall and couldn't drift no further apart. James took a few steps and jerked him away from me. I said, "Back off." Frank landed with a thud on the floor. This turned everyone's attention towards us. Embarrassment washed over me. The other group members pulled me away from the scene up to a room which I later discovered belongs to James. I took several breaths to calm my racing heart. What just happened? "Sorry about that. Frank was just drunk," James said when he joined us. I was still in shock and didn't know what to say. I just shrugged my shoulders. Shutting the noise out, we proceeded with work. Good thing is, it's mostly practical and didn't require too much calculation. We finished and sat back to relax. It was in that state that Frank knocked. "We didn't need you here, Frank. You've caused too much trouble already," James said. "Hey man, I didn't mean that. I just wanted to personally apologize to Miriam." James looked at me, wordlessly asking if he should let Frank in. I shrugged and nodded. The others excused us when Frank came in. He had 2 plastic cups of drinks in his hand and handed one to me. I hesitated to take it. He might have drunk it for all I know. It's just soft drink, nothing poisonous. Slowly, I took the cup from him and kept it on the floor by me. "I'm sorry about earlier. I just wanted to tell you that you lost an earring." He opened his palm and I saw one of my earrings in his palm. I touched my ear instinctively and didn't feel one of my earrings. Realization dawned on me and I took my earring from him. "Truce?" he asked. "Truce." I clicked my cup to his and drank. We got to chatting and I felt my body relax with him. Little did I know my drink was spiked. Before long, Frank's hands were all over me, groping me. I tried to scream, but my voice was muffled. He kept repeating the words, "Relax, I'll make you feel better." Almost passing out, my hands felt around and grabbed a bedside lamp. I used up all the strength I could muster and hit it on Frank's head. Frank fell to the side, passed out. I struggled to wake up. The room was spinning. James and the others burst in and saw Frank's bleeding head on the floor. "Drug, my drink, rape, me," I slurred and then dropped on the floor. I woke up in a hospital bed, surrounded by my mom, 2 younger ones, and James. Pipes were connected to my body. I felt a strange sensation in my body. "You're in a hospital, sweetheart," Mom said. "Where's Dad?" "He's with the doctor." That's when I noticed James. "What's he doing here?" I asked Mom. "I came to check on you. I'm really sorry for what almost happened to you. You don't have to ever worry about ever doing that to you again or to any other girl." I was mortified. I might have committed a murder when I hit Frank's head. Did he die? He's also receiving treatment from the wound on his head, but he's scheduled to undergo therapy after physical care at the hospital. That scenario gave me nightmares too. Even after I left the hospital, it was a struggle sleeping at night, but eventually, I went through therapy too and finally recovered. I eased up myself about making it big and better than my parents. My ambitions had pushed me to almost losing myself for the sake of school. These days, I am just grateful for being alive, safe, sound, and healthy. End of the story.